If you're like me, you've been in an organization and you speculated about a certain individual possibly being an informant, a snitch, or working for our enemies. But I'm going to caution us against publicly referring to brothers or sisters in our organizations as snitches or informants. And I'm going to explain in this particular broadcast, and we're getting started right now. We're going to deal with the issue of why we should never refer to Black people in our organization or communities as snitches. Let's look at this term snitch jacketing. Snitch jacketing was a COINTELPRO tactic used by the FBI. The FBI, through its actual informants in our organizations, would have somebody spread rumors, gossip about another person, saying that they were fake, they weren't real, they were working with the white man. And the goal of snitch jacketing is pretty clear. The idea was that we'll create distrust, confusion, and infighting within an organization. Because obviously people are going to be like, no, he's not. So yes, I always thought, and now there's confusion, people are fighting, they're arguing, people are defending him, people are saying why he is a snitch, right? And so that's what it was to do, to create division, confusion, chaos, arguments, in the hopes that that would derail the organization, become yet another distraction, get us involved in yet more pettiness, stuff that has nothing to do with anything, instead of doing the real work that we need to do. The people that were going around spreading the rumor of people being a snitch were the snitches. Those were the informants. So the tactic served two ends. It created division and calamity in our organization. It got you to distrust the righteous, capable, competent, experienced leaders in the organization. And it also took you off their trail, off their scent, because they were the real ones doing devilishment in the organization. One of the most effective uses of the snitch jacketing was when they snitch jacketed the best, most knowledgeable and experienced organizers. Because if they can get you to think that the people that's really about it, who have receipts and resumes and references, do the real work, are snitches, you're not going to mess with them. You're going to kick them out your organization. And that's going to obviously push your organization to suffer. I want to remind us also, I'm going to put this up as I'm going through it. You might be saying, so what's the big deal about calling somebody a snitch? You know, I've been in organizations where this has always happened. There's always been at least one person somebody thought was suspicious for whatever reason. There's been times I thought people were suspicious for whatever reason. But organizers and leaders have to have a level of discipline. They can't just say whatever they want out their mouth. They have to think, how is this going to affect the organization? So if you go around labeling somebody an informant because they did something that you think is suspicious, and now you're talking to other group members, you are actually participating in snitch jacking. One, in a way, one, you don't know if this person is really a snitch or informant. You have no proof. So what you're really doing is helping create, just like an informant would, an atmosphere of paranoia and distrust in your organization. God knows, Black people, we don't need any more paranoia, calamity, or distrust in our organization. I think we all agree with that. I want you, if you are doubting what I'm saying, I want you to think about this. We all have seen, I'm sure, documentaries on COINTELPRO. We've seen documentaries, some of us maybe, on people who were documented informants. By document, it means there was an actual document that listed their name, their actual name, their code name, and the service that they provided, and to what agency. Without that, you can't really, or a confession from the person, you can't really prove that they are in fact an informant for the FBI or any intelligence gathering or law enforcement agency. If we were so good at being able to pinpoint and identify the snitches and informants in our organizations, how come we never do it in real time? How come we never do it in real time? This person's a snitch. We kick them out the organization. They don't get up to a leadership uh, position, right? It's because we never know who those people are in real time. So in the 60s and 70s, during the civil rights and Black Power movements, He was a photographer that was utilized. He took some of the most iconic pictures of the civil rights movement. He was in all of Dr. King's private meetings and meetings of a lot of civil rights leaders. He was beloved by the community. No one thought that he was an agent because that's the whole point. You're never going to know that they're an agent because they're going to blend right in. They're going to look like you, going to be dressed like you, and they're going to blend right in. You would never know that this person is an informant. In fact, of all the many black FBI informants that infiltrated the civil rights and black power organization from the 50s to the 70s, no one could identify any of them until like 20 and 30 and 40 years after the fact, when the papers came out. If you suspect that someone in your group is an informant, never, repeat, never publicly accuse them. Number one, you won't be able to prove it, and that's going to make you look bad. It's going to make it look like, you know how we are. Everything gets into something else. So people say, "Oh, you're jealous," or "You're crazy," or maybe you're the real snitch. It's gonna get to a whole bunch of stuff. So you'll never be able to prove it. So if you can't prove it, that's something you don't say about somebody. And secondly, you're going to be an unwitting tool of our enemies. You're going to be creating division and distrust in your own organization and furthermore in the larger community. You might be saying, okay, so if we don't out them publicly, then how do we deal with, snitches or informants? And mind you, I'm not talking about criminal operations. I'm talking about uh, black political organizations, informants for FBI or any other agent. That's what I'm talking about here. Instead of overtly outing somebody publicly that you believe or suspect is some type of agent or informant, it's probably a much better idea to have workshops in your organization, raise the capacity of the members of your organization, and teach them how to the qualities, the actions of an informant. What things do they do? So what you want to do is raise the capacity of the organization so that it's not just the leader and the spokesperson that's informed. Everyone in the organization should be informed. That's why we have education. The title of this book is Rat by Claire Wolf. It's a book you can buy, but Claire Wolf who wrote it made it free as well by sharing a PDF. You go to the PDF, look at all of these topics, recognizing and avoiding snitches, learn and practice good security consciousness, historical ways of dealing with known snitches. This is a very good resource that you can check out that will give you much more information on this topic than I have provided. All right, family, as always, I want to thank you for listening. Share this and have a wonderful day. Peace and Black Power.